Welcome YouTubers, and this is a little fast YouTube about the Lyman rifle Headspace Gage for a 223 Remington. And I'm a newbie to reloading and just started working on rifle cartridges just recently. And it's always a little confusing as to how to do this when you haven't done any of this before. And what I'm using for my dies is the Lee Deluxe Rifle die set for 223 Remington, which is a pretty nice die set. And it comes with a full-length resizing die, and it also comes with a case neck, what they call a neck sizing collet die. I'm not going to be using the neck sizing collet die, just using the full-length resizing die. And what I've done is I've taken my cartridges and I've deprimed all of them. I've cleaned them using the stainless steel tumblers and ended up with a nice clean cartridge. So for example, here's one of the cartridges. It's been deprimed, it's been cleaned, and I've run it through my single stage press once, and I've set this the way Lee says by screwing in the full-length resizer until it touches the top of the shell holder, and then screwing in 1/4 to 1/3 more. So what happens when you do that? Is it correct when you've screwed in 1/4 to 1/3 more? Here's where you need something like a rifle Headspace gauge. This is Lyman. Wilson makes them also. So what we do is we put this in, and it should not be on the table itself when you're doing it, but it should be up in the air. This particular one, though, since I don't have two hands, I'm going to leave it on the table as it is, just so that I can demonstrate what we're looking for. And what we're looking to see is that the top of the cartridge is not above this elevated height or below the lower height, and should come out right in between. And this cartridge does, even laying down on the table. It's just the right length after it's been resized. Now I did about 7 or 8 of them before I used the Headspace gauge, and actually the cartridges were down a fraction lower, and what I had to do was to back off my die a little bit by untightening a little bit, maybe 1/8 of a turn or 1/4 of a turn. It came out just perfectly. Now this is a very nice device, and what it does not do, though, is it doesn't tell you the thickness. Here's an unsized case, still has a primer in, and we're going to put it in there. And notice it won't even go in all the way. It hasn't been full-length resized yet. So you need to resize your case before you put it in the Headspace gauge. Now, the other thing that you're looking for is this looks perfect as far as height right now. Then the question is, does this case need to be resized more? Is it too long? And for that, we turn it upside down and we look and see where the top of the brass is, and you can see that it's below the upper level of the Headspace gauge, but not too short. It's just perfect. So this particular piece of brass does not need to be resized. If it were sticking up above this level, it would need to be resized. And this has to be done while it's down on a surface. Notice that when I have it flipped up this way, it needs to be above a surface, because if it's sticking out too low, it's going to push up from below, and I'm using my finger to push it up, so we don't want to do that. Now, this takes the place of using Vernier Calipers. And I have an inexpensive set of Pittsburgh ones. These are from Harbor Freight. I also have an expensive Japanese one, but not too crazy about the Japanese one, mainly because you've got to use, it has a photocell rather than a battery, and it tends to stop working just as I need it the most, because the photocell just doesn't keep going. Now, if you have a completed case and you want to check it, we put it in like this, and we see that above the table, the top of the case should be between the two levels, and it is pretty good here. And we should notice that on the other side, when we have it flipped over, we should notice that there's just barely any brass showing, and I think you can see barely any brass showing there, depending upon the light here. So we know that this is a perfect case, and this is a factory Remington 223. Now this is the Lyman rifle Headspace Gage 223. I've seen a lot of criticism for this on the Midway site. I'm not sure why it's criticized, but this is like a $20 investment. And look, if you're going to be turning out 223 stuff, and it takes a lot of effort to do rifle cases, you should use one of these. This does not tell you whether the case is too wide or not. Whereas the pistol cases, and I do use the pistol case gauges, for example, 9mm Luger, I use those, and they're designed a little bit differently. You can actually tell whether your case is properly chambered thick enough and it will actually fit in your rifle or fit in your pistol. But the rifle sizing Headspace gauge is a little bit different, and it really helps to make an accurate rifle cartridge, and I recommend getting one. Wilson makes these, Lyman makes them, I'm sure other companies make them, but this is not more than about $20 from Midway or Natchez or any of the sites that you can go to. I hope this helps. It seems to me a lot faster and easier than using the Vernier Calipers, and I think it's very accurate. And it will tell you, particularly what you cannot tell easily with calipers is the distance from where I'm pointing with my finger to where I'm pointing with my finger. So those distances are not easily measured with a caliper. So I hope this helps you. It makes it really fast for what is technically a kind of a slow procedure doing rifle cartridges. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions about this video. And I do use the Lee cartridge dies. I like them a lot. And I also use the Lee presses, which I find pretty nice. Thanks.